Hey, Ghost Machine fans, this one's for you.
Welcome to the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast, episode 99. Well, it's time for us to return to the world of the unbelievables. Well, not just yet, but we're so close. This time around, we're deep diving into one of the last issues under the Family Odyssey moniker before we start up Ghost Machine's first crossover event this summer. I am Becky, and as usual, I'm joined by my fabulous husband, Nick. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm getting to record this podcast after finishing a very lengthy and stressful real life work event that went well. And there's no better way to capstone something like that than spend time with you talking about our favorite comic book publisher, Ghost Machine.
I know. I'm really glad we're back to normal.
Yeah, we've been super busy.
Yeah.
And to kick things off as usual, although I am pretty stoked to return to the Family Odysseys, aka the Unbelievables, after the recent announcements that have been made, we must do a shout out, and this time it is for the Wham Lab, or Wham Lab HQ. That's WHAMLAB HQ on Instagram. They recently were part of a group of collaborators that sent over a very cool reel about Hyde Street 10 and the different variant covers for Hyde Street 10, especially that really cool Bugsy Berry one. And it was Wham Lab, Xavier Fernandez, and Collector's Paradise. And the Wham Lab, they make these cool stands for like the stands in the retail stores, and you could use them in your house too. So if you want something that's cool to stand your comic books up with, then make sure to check out Wham Lab HQ. They haven't sent us any free stuff to say that. We're only shouting them out because they did the collab with us and Xavier. So can't be more excited for more Ghost Machine content coming from the fan base out there.
Yeah, it's awesome. We love it.
But now we must look inward once again with the news.
Today is Wednesday, March 11th, making March 16th the next final order cutoff date for Geiger number 23. So make sure to pre-order your copy today. And also, the biggest news we may have ever had.
Boom, boom, boom.
Our 100th episode is coming up, and it'll air 1 week from today, and will feature none other than Jeff Johns and Brian Hitch. And we're going to do a Redcoat character deep dive with the very creators. I'm hyped.
Hi, big things going on.
Putting the win in Wednesday.
Definitely. And that's going to be a week from today. So that'll be Wednesday, March 18th. If that episode airs, we're going to ask lots of questions about how they came up with the character Simon Pure. Definitely going to ask lots of questions about the movie that was announced and First Ghost, as well as I'm sure we'll touch on the Unbelievables and the guidebooks and the other exciting stuff that Ghost Machine has going on in 2026. So make sure to tune in for that historic episode of the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast. It's going to be a little over 2 years since we've been doing it when that episode airs. So no better way to ring it in than with some superstar guest appearances.
Very exciting.
But now we're going to talk about the Rocketfellers number 12. This one got me pretty hard, but before we talk about the heart-wrenching situation, let's talk about the covers that are available to you if you haven't had a chance to swoop up your copy of the Rocketfellers number 12 just yet. you read the physical copy of this book this time around, Snoggle, and you actually had the A cover, yeah?
I did. And I really like this cover.
Describe.
It is the Rockefeller family on a rocket ship? I don't know. But it's Christmas themed, so the dad's in the Santa suit and they've all got like elf ears or reindeer antlers on. But for me, the prize of this cover is the giant frog.
Yeah, that's funny. I like the fact that Rex has a Rudolph nose on.
Yeah, it's so cute.
And that's the thing. If you look closely, it's actually just an extension of Rex. What they're riding is part of Rex.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that until just now. I thought it was just kind of like a fun ship space situation that they were going to use to be able to have this cool Christmas illustration. So this issue came out in February of 2026. Yeah. And there's not really a ton of Christmas content in here. The original advert for this did indicate there was going to be some Christmas stuff going on. So however it worked out, I don't really care. And it doesn't really bother me. And this is something that I briefly wanted to touch on because I hear negativity about delays a lot and about context and things like this. And I just, it's certainly a bummer when I have to wait longer to read the comics that I really like. Like if I could read Rook Exodus every month, would I? Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't do that? But it doesn't fill me with ire and vitriol to know that my favorite comics are not always going to come out exactly when they were planned or exactly every month because there's so many good comics to read. And far be it for me to say that you should read anything other than Ghost Machine ever. But it is the renaissance of awesome independent comics. So, this is one of those funny covers to me that's like, why is there a Christmas cover on a comic that came out in February? And honestly, there's not really a lot of Christmas content in this book other than just the Christmas card reference. So, if anything, to me, this illustration represents where they all really wish they were doing and feeling instead of the actual situation they're in the inside of the book.
Okay, my one thing is if individuals are upset about Christmas themed content coming out in February, because it is this book is set during Christmas time. We know this from clues throughout what we're about to discuss, right? Who cares? One, was everyone in 1992 upset about the fact that they released a Batman movie set in Christmas in June? I think not. Or maybe they were they?
I don't know. I didn't realize Batman Returns came out in June.
Yeah.
I believe it.
For me, something doesn't have to come out during the holiday for it to be occurring in the holiday. Big reminder that this is fiction. Typically, things come out during those periods of time to make the movie, the book, etc., more popular. It just happened to be what's going on in this book. If it could be Christmas all year long, great.
Right. Yeah. And it is probably my favorite cover. I really I like the Rocketfellers. I really like this cover of the Rocketfellers. I think it's a bummer that Rosie can't be there in some way, Grandma, but I do really I like this cover so much that I don't care that this actual scene may never be represented in the comic.
Well, you want to know Becky theory that has no fact behind it. So the frog is the little girl's stuffy, right?
Right.
And she's really attached to it. There's probably a little bit of transference there. She's so close to the frog because it reminds her of her grandma.
Yeah. This is like where the wonderful happy family wishes they could be at Christmas compared to what we actually see that they experience.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, we get
And
a
I dig
little bit
that.
of joy at the beginning of the book. It's on the cover.
Yeah, all right. So that is a great cover. So this one, usually we would say is all Francis Manipool, and he did do the pencils and the inks. But did you notice that it says on the inside cover that Peter Snaberg assisted? And when I look it up online, it says that what Snaberg did was colors.
Oh, that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. I like the colors. They're super great. Very cool. B cover is a bit of a diversion, and this one actually does have Grandma Rosie in the background. I believe this is a Pink Floyd homage. Yes?
Yes.
And so it's got it has the ship. So it has like the prism coming in from one side, which is their rocket ship, and then the other side is them coming out of it. And it's like the prism is the time portal or whatever is the way that I look at that. But even Grandma's still in that one. And this cover was by Leonardo Colapietro. And I've seen him do some other stuff before. He's done, I believe, a couple of Ghost Machine covers, but his art's really cool and his name is really fun to say. So,
Oh, yeah.
love that. Love to see cool stuff like that in comics. I like homages because there's not really a lot of places that you can do that, like anymore. Maybe a movie poster here and there, but then people just think it's like a remake of a thing.
Yeah.
So very cool. Thanks, Leonardo. Now, I thought it would be appropriate, since it's been a little while since we read a Rocketfellers comic, that we actually read the previously in here. So, on the run from the 25th century, protecting stolen life extension tech, Roland Rockefeller and his family hide in the year 2025. They are hunted by the tech conglomerate Kronex and its lead security officer, Roland's sister, Raina Rockefeller. But Raina finally caught up with them, and Roland agreed to go back to the future with her using a homespun time machine until it exploded in the sky. Two things to point out for the Ghost Machine fans. This specifically states stolen life extension tech. So we do know that that is its primary purpose. And that just as a reminder, that homespun time machine, that was homespun by Richie Rockefeller, who had created like a suit that had that capability. And that's what happened there. And then also in this interior cover, we see these time traveling folks, the Scully and the Mulder people that are introduced in this episode. So we're going to talk a lot more about them, but we can only do so if we appropriately spoiler pause in this very moment.
You've been warned.
And now, Snoggle, can you give us a quick creator roll call?
Yes. We've got Peter J. Tomasi, story and words. Francis Manipool, story and art. And Rob Lee, our king of letters. Brian Cunningham, friend of the show, the editor. And Steve Blackwell, designer.
And it dives right into the action because the ship suit thingy that Roland was in and Raina was holding onto him, it exploded. And when it exploded, they saw a bunch of stuff fall from the sky. And I really like how Francis started this out.
With a shaboom.
Right, and that's the SHUNKOOM, and it's the sound of the laser lightning super sword going into the ground.
I really, really, really like the colors on this page. That it's hard to work with shades of brown, but I think that it really actually made kind of this dust explosion cloud pop.
Yeah, it's really cool. Francis does explosions really, really well. And that's because the thing that they were flying off in exploded and then crashes to the ground. So there's still pieces of it significant, like a lot of tech that crashes to the ground, makes like a small crater. And I like how the whole family is running towards it, the whole family that's present, because Richie goes dad, Rachel goes Roland, and Rodney goes son. And it's just a cool panel where it reminds everybody like this is a family.
And then we'll get you out of there. And this is where we know things have gone awry, because we see the whole family looking, it's like if you were in the hole looking out, that's what you would see.
Well, it's neat because of how the light comes in behind Rachel, and you can see Raina's hand from Raina's point of view, kind of in shadow. And such is really cool dynamic thing to do with lighting from a coloration standpoint. And it's neat. Ray is holding that frog in that moment, the frog you were talking about.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. She takes that thing with her everywhere. I'm by no means saying that it's, her grandma, but we do get attached to things like that to replace something we've lost, especially at a young age like that. Very cute.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So as they pull back the debris, they see Raina rather immediately, and she asks them for help, and Rodney is ready to just grab the sword and go to probably, it seems like, do something.
There's only a couple of things you can do with the sword, first and foremost. And that just shows you how much he doesn't view her because of the nanotechnology that's in her. He's like, my daughter is gone, because that is like technically his daughter. And he's like, yeah, I'll help you. Let me just cut you into pieces.
Yeah, because Rachel is like, leave the sword alone. But it takes a couple of seconds because it seems like Raina's disoriented. She's asking for help. She's talking about being in pain. And Rachel can't take it. And she screams at him, what happened to Roland? Where is he? And then she doesn't. And then Raina doesn't know who that is. And then it becomes clear rather rapidly that she has amnesia or doesn't recognize them temporarily, is in shock or whatever, but she doesn't know who they are.
Yeah. I like this plot.
I do too. What makes you say that?
One, she's been the villain this whole time. So it could unfold so many, in storytelling, this could unfold in different ways, right? She could be forever not really remembering anything, like a short-term amnesia type situation where she doesn't remember the bad. So whatever story they tell her, she just kind of takes it as fact, right? Or everything's good and dandy. They start to rebuild a relationship with the real Raina, and then the nanobots take back over. It just leaves a lot of room for storytelling. And we get to see her actually not as a super villain for a bit. It reminds you that she's actually a part of this family.
Which has been difficult to do. That's a really good point, right? Because it seems as though she always chose Jacob.
Yep.
And kind of did some reprehensible things as a result, even though they'll talk about, their time with her, like especially Ray. And it made me think that perhaps, to your point about how it gives a lot of story avenues, it made me think that maybe this amnesia is also parallel to a lack of the connection to Jacob or Kronex is severed. At least temporarily, because we've gotten the impression that like he could still communicate with her and connect to her and see, maybe even like see through her eye and all that kind of stuff. But it seems like that's not present now. Does he reconnect at some point? And then it's like, and then he can it's still because it kind of got the impression after a while that even though she did make her decisions for him that maybe may not have been the best, as the tech got more and more and more and more and more into her body and life and everything, it influenced her more and more. And even in the early stages of when she started making the Jacob instead of the family kind of decisions, she had a little bit of the nanoborg tech. She had like the hand.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just been building up over time. But then that makes you wonder if the connection is severed, then will she be able to sustain the nanotech that's in her body as well?
To be determined.
Yeah. So they take us to Rhonda's Diner, which is a place that does validate your it is a Christmas story point,
Right.
because they got the tree and they have the garland.
And imagine the people working there, it's Christmas time, and how somber this booth looks. But I will point out, I think the person who's taking it the hardest has to be Richie, because the little detail that he hasn't ate any of his pancakes, I feel is pretty significant.
Oh yeah, it's definitely indicating that he feels horrible. But right away, can't really do this in other types of media. Like, I guess you can do it in film, but I feel that it's even more effective in this visual medium, because we don't get a little narrator that says, and so as a result of that, the family went to a diner and decided that they were going to tell Raina a good story. Like, we don't get that. We get them sitting around a diner table, and Raina's in the middle, and everyone around her is really sad. She looks really sad. And then she says, so we're all from the future, and I'm a veteran of the Space Force, kidnapped by a rogue time-traveling agent of a secret program in this era of Earth, and you, my family, came back in time to rescue me. But my brother Roland died. And Rachel corrects, missing, not dead. And so we very quickly get so much from these incredible creators. We get a somber tone, we get incredible sadness, and we get the exposition that, oh, they lied to her.
Yeah, they definitely lied.
But there's some nobility in that. There's goodness in the fact that they, despite this absolutely horrible moment in their family's like existence where they are all in incredible, I'm sure they're in physical pain. If I was unable to know where you or Bruce were, I would be in physical pain, not just emotional pain, but the pain of the emotion would cause me to feel ill. I'm sure. I know, like, that's what this shows. But then in just one panel. She's the villain. I know, and they choose to take the opportunity to help her, essentially help her. Like, if she never gets her memory back, this is a better existence.
100%. They don't start off with like, yo, actually, you've been chasing us. You killed your own mom. You're very evil. Your husband's this weird blob of a human who has a couple of nanobots in him. And you guys are like tech villains that are traveling through time. No, they instantly just tell a different story. You know, I do like the panel where it's two separate panels that attach together, where it's Rachel on one side with one half of Raina's face, and then Rodney on the other side with honestly the more broken half of the face. And they do it again in the different views. Like on one side, I feel like this is storytelling of she is separated from her evil right now. She's separated from the nanobots that are controlling her. Because you get what the human side, and then you see the bad side. Does that make sense? I think that's
cool. It allows you to see the camera moving around the perspectives of everybody at the table. And I like how the side that's the bad side is also the Rodney side, because he's been through so much pain and disappointment with her. And, you know, they'd even mentioned some more of that in the bio at the end. And it wraps up that set of panels with Ray asking Raina if her eye hurts, and Raina ironically says no. You can clearly tell with a little bit more, and a really neat panel where Ray has drawn a picture of Raina and says she was a special army hero, that it's almost like bringing the perception of the lie to a reality in some ways. And I mean, she actually was an army hero before her fall from grace. So that is true. But here's when we see, you know, Richie's not going to eat. And ultimately they're all just paralyzed with grief and fear that they're never going to find him again.
Well, it's great
And
storytelling that we get a panel of each individual's expressions during this moment. And it ends with Raina saying, and genuine sadness because she doesn't remember anything. I don't remember what Roland looked like. And it's her own brother.
I thought that might be foreshadowing to an opportunity that they might have later. Like if she sees him in this state, she won't know it's him. And that makes you wonder if there's like something that could occur as a result of that.
Yeah.
Or if it's Peter Tomasi's way of just really letting us know, like, hey, she's totally gone. Like she does not even have memories of him at this point. It's clear that the owner of the diner, Rhonda, is also serving everybody. And I thought it was funny how she had an R name too. But there's this like local knucklehead that comes in and he's picking some stuff up and he's getting mad that there's some city slickers over there.
You know what though?
Yeah.
I think in 4 panels, they somehow made this dude who's picking up all these apple pies for Christmas with his facial expressions in general, just kind of despicable. Like the face he looks, what's up with these city slickers and the pirate? Ugh.
Yeah, he does 2 despicable things. He finds out that she's a veteran and he still makes a joke about that being a pirate thing. And then he also asks for alcohol on the go that he can drink in his vehicle.
Yeah.
So you kind of get the little double whammy of like, bad human, crap human, probably something bad going to happen to that guy later.
Yeah.
And what did you think of the thank you for your service moment?
And she says thanks, but this scene, it kind of made me realize, not to sound silly, that they all have on hoodies that they obviously bought from like a gas station or whatnot. Because it's all like New Mexico, New Mexico, New Mexico. As somber as this issue is, that's kind of funny.
Oh, it's very funny. Yeah, because they have to hide their super suits or whatever. They're astronaut suits. So they all got cheesy hoodies. And they do realize, though, that, hey, they should probably ditch their vehicle because now they're still hiding, essentially, right? But they don't know. This would be hard because you'd be like, well, if we keep Raina with us, can they find us? Like, should we keep her? That would be something I would be concerned about. That like the evil time traveling Chronex people could get to us and use her like a beacon if we were them.
Now, I have things to say about the next panel we see.
With Scully and Mulder?
Yes.
Yeah.
I got some speculation. Okay. So, just throwing this out here, I think the dad isn't dead. I think he went back to 1945.
Oh, I'm sure he's not dead at this point.
But I think he's in 1945.
Well, so he's, like you said, the first guy says it's been quite some time since the gadget was detonated here. So detonated means bomb. Made me wonder if it had something to do with atomic testing. The world's first nuclear explosion occurred on July 16th, 1945, when a plutonium implosion device was tested at a site located 210 miles south of Los Alamos, New Mexico. It actually, we do know what the gadget is then. We know exactly what they're referring to. They're referring to the first nuclear bomb test. Presumably, I guess, atomic energy might have something to do with the suit that was being used, but that is a very specific historical reference. Because what they say is, aside from the VW van, the test results confirm a temporal displacement energy laced within some of the debris. So we know he went in a time jump of some kind. So yeah, I mean, it's very possible, but I think it also is emphasizing that like atomic energy is similar to time jump energy in some way.
And of course, the agents go to the gas station where we got good old Bud reading Rook Exodus, mind you.
Yeah, and he says, "Sure would like to get me one of those crazy masks." Thought that was funny.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And this is the dude that they stole the truck from. And he assumes that the people walking into the gas station are like police that are there to help with that. But they don't even talk to him. They just zap him with their pink zapper.
What a weird way to get information out of somebody. Well, I guess before that, he said, well, about time someone came about my stolen truck. And that's really all they needed to know. So they could have just left, and instead they mess up the place pretty instantly and steal a candy bar.
And she points out that the price for the candy bar is really outrageous.
Yeah.
And that made me wonder if she's supposed to be from the past or something.
I don't know. I mean, her outfit alludes to it.
Yeah, with the trench coat style type of thing.
Yeah, crazy boots.
They both have that like government agent vibe, and like both look like old school government agent, not futuristic government agent. But he does have a zapper, a pink zapper, and that seems futuristic.
Then we cut to Arrowhead RV Park.
Yeehaw! Yeah, it's where our friend Frankie with the apple pies and the eggnog was going.
They already made him a mark too. We knew exactly what they were going to do. When you see them in the bushes, they're going to steal that dude's RV.
Yeah, because they're looking for another vehicle because they want to ditch the truck because they know they've stolen it. But Francis and Peter use this as just a brief moment to remind everyone, like, yeah, we're all sad and hungry and miserable because they see a few children making s'mores, and then you see Richie, Rex, and Ray like licking their lips and looking kind of sad. And then you see a couple with mistletoe, and Rachel is visibly upset, and Rodney's putting his hand on her shoulder to console her. And it's like, man, that's a lot to get out of a few panels that someone created. You know, like that's really awesome to me, because I imagine that's a lot like what very sophisticated film storytelling does, because that would help like a director tell that these people like what they're trying to convey in these like really brief moments and make it pretty darn intense.
Yeah.
Dude goes back into his RV and they're all in there, and they just swipe it and do not take much time with just tossing him out. And I think, between the fact that we knew he drove while drinking and that he was profoundly disrespectful to veterans, the audience is like, yeah, get that RV, Rocketfellers.
And you got to feel a little bad for him, because there's no other way to say this. He was clearly taking a poop.
Yeah, that was a bummer. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, hey, I do like that when he's putting back on his pants, I'm pretty sure there's some toilet paper that's
sticking out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a funny detail.
It is funny.
There are a lot of little details inside this RV, because you can, Richie's crying, and you even at one point see the birds. Did you notice on the second panel there, kind of like next to a hot plate or a cooker of some kind, the two birds in their nest that Ray keeps with her are there?
Yes, which is very cute.
So this is where it gets harder.
On his bathroom has a poster that says Danger Zone. What a guy, Frank.
Hey, Frank, he's a character. He'll always make you laugh. But Richie is on his own crying because he blames himself for what happened. And it's not like he's saying, like, my dad's dead. He's saying my dad's gone. And he knows that it seems like he knows that the thing couldn't function correctly, but that it probably made some sort of time jump. But I imagine that not knowing could mean anything. You know what I mean? Like, it could have sent him back to the Triassic. It could have sent him into a black hole. Like, who knows? But it definitely seems like Richie has no sense of, like, we could do this or that to track him down. because it's just hopeless now. It's like, even if my dad is alive, I don't know how I'll ever find him again.
Yeah, it's sad.
Super hard. It's super hard. We're a really family-oriented group over here at the Ghost Machine Fans podcast. And thinking about this situation was really difficult for me.
Well, and while she's consoling him, you got Ray just standing there patiently. And Ray's sweater, by the way, which is a New Mexico thing, says believe, which I'm assuming is like alien oriented. But I do like the fact that hers is the most positive of the bunch. Like she picked something that was like, believe, because she is so positive. Like she doesn't, I don't think that girl thinks her dad's dead. She's like, it's fine.
She is super positive, but she also has been clairvoyant several times. So perhaps her vibe, her demeanor, her outlook, and even her shirt are an indicator that there should be hope here.
So we see she's trying to show her mom, how do you like our family Christmas card? And I'm just going to boldly say, I think, retrospect, it would have been cool to have a C cover that was like the A cover, but Ray's drawing.
Yeah.
But it's really cute because she says, I'm going to save it and give it to daddy when we see him, which sends her mom pause. But she is so positive, like, nope, I'm just going to give this to dad when I see him. So she doesn't think this is the end. She's really the most positive individual in this situation.
Absolutely. And that gives me optimism as the reader. But I just like that kind of fourth wall stuff. This reminds me a little bit of like the fact that there's a Junkyard Joe comic strip in Junkyard Joe Comics 2. I know it's not exactly the same thing, but that the child character in the book sketched out and drew the basis for the cover, the A cover. That's not something I see very much.
Yeah.
And it's just something for the reader. Like there's no marketing element to that. Right. And that feels really good. And that's just a lot of fun to me. That scene would never happen in a film or a show, no matter how successful this, franchise or whatever you call it would become. If that were to happen, you don't have a way to translate the fact that Francis Manapul's actual comic book cover is easily, akin to the thing that the character does, because there will never be that. Yeah. So at best, if there was a Rocketfellers TV show and she held that up, fans of the comic would know, but that would be it. Yeah. But Rodney and Rachel are up in the driver's seat talking about how crazy all of this is and how hard all of it is. And Rodney points out, similar to what I was saying, that we don't know. We don't know what the deal is with the nanoborgs. We don't know how much of it is Raina as the person and how much of it is nanoborgs. Just because she doesn't remember, it doesn't mean she's not a threat.
Yep. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
Yeah, that's what he says about her. He considers her an enemy. Sold.
Yeah.
And our pink zappers, because that's all we got to go on for now. We don't know. We don't have a name for our special government. Look like government agents of some type.
They really are shoot first and ask questions afterwards. Like, they don't need to reveal their technology. They just keep on doing it.
Yeah. It's that same pink hue of the nanoborgs, so it makes you think that that's somehow connected to that other tech. But maybe they're from a different era, but they don't seem like they're part of the time zone protection program, because they're way more like, Smoking Man, government agent, Men in Blacky.
Yeah.
It is good that there's like at least one funny moment, because Raina burns the food and she says she must not have been good at cooking. Like I thought that was a little funny.
Yeah, I don't even know what she's making, but it is definitely burnt. Maybe an attempt at a pancake.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be, for sure.
It does show us that she doesn't really get the advanced technology stuff because she's like, the dog can prepare meals? And old Raina would have known that. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. That makes you wonder, like, to what level of familiarity with the current age or culture would an amnesiac be? Because if she never regains any of her memory, then you would think that it wouldn't be the dog can prepare meals. It would start with things like how to talk. Like, you ever seen Regarding Henry with Harrison Ford? Where somebody, he loses his memory, but he has to like relearn how to talk and walk and know everything. Like, but he does it, and you can. But in this case, it's more specific. Like, she understands the concept of this is how you cook a thing, but she doesn't remember advanced technology because she certainly has no sense of the nanoboard stuff, or like, I guess they haven't really explained that. They probably told her that like she has this technology because of what happened to her in the war, and that's how they did what they did to help her or something. But they're on their way back to Olympia, and they point out that wherever we're together, that's our home, which is another reminder that this is a family odyssey, soon to be unbelievable. And it is a very far drive. And there's a bio about Reina in here, and it points out a couple of kind of new things. It specifically points out that Jacob, as he became the blob, the nano blob that he is, that his decisions began lacking compassion. And so presumably that speaks to what we were saying about how like Reina slowly over time changed with her, the technology being more like, kind of like Vader.
Yeah.
And it does say that Roland enrolled the family in the time zone protection program. So we know the time zone protection program was used for like people that were witnesses and stuff. Like, remember how she went back, like the other character went back, picked up the guy from the Old West and everything. And then like the charges were dropped, so he didn't have to be part of the program anymore or whatever. But this implies that one could go to them and be like, we're in danger, we need to enroll in your program. And they can just do it. But to me, it made it so I thought it was done like on the sly. Like, I don't think they're officially part of the program. I feel like because his brother's part of it and his brother's new wife, that they're getting the benefits of the time zone protection organization, but that they're not like officially enrolled.
They're not on the books.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Because if they were on the books, they could be found.
And then also at the end of these bios, ever since JSA by Jeff Johns in the early aughts, JSA by Jeff Johns and David Goyer, there's always like something at the end that alludes to something related to plot, which is another reason that you should really get excited about those Ghost Machine guidebooks that are going to be comprised entirely of these, because there's a bunch of new stuff that is going to talk about plots. But in this case, it points out that we don't know what other benefits or drawbacks the nanoborgs in Reina's body may bring her. And to me, as a fan of Jeff Johns from decades, that means we're going to see some benefits and drawbacks that we don't know about.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah, agreed.
Awesome to be back in this world. Really excited about the future of it with the Unbelievables and everything that Brian Cunningham told us about. Really seems like they have a lot planned. And I dig it widening its scope and us learning more about the different fun characters that they have put together on that map that we saw recently.
Amazing.
But to wrap things up for this amazing episode of the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast, we must, as usual, read a fantastic mail. Would you like to do so, Snoggle?
Sure. Love the name of this fantastic mail. It's from Flava Fan. And they say, what stage is the Redcoat movie in, and does it have anything to do with the rumors online from a few years ago about a Geiger TV series? From what the internet said, one of the producers named for the movie is this guy, Charles Roven, who was a producer on Oppenheimer and one of our favorite movies, The Dark Knight. The script is complete.
Yes, that's the impression that I have. There was a fun post, I think, that Jeff put out a while ago that was like just a picture of the front of it. And the best way to answer this question, Flava fan, and I wonder if this person has a clock around their neck that they walk around the world with, but this is a really good question for us to ask in a week when we talk to Jeff and Brian about the movie. All I can really say now is that I understand that the script is written, like Snoggle said. And that's exciting because that's means that I would think that that's a step in the direction of production. But I don't know anything about movies and optioning and all those things that we hear about nowadays in the comic book world, because a lot of comic books become movies. But the second half of the question is, does it have anything to do with the rumors online of a Geiger TV show? And if you've looked that up, there's some Geiger TV stuff from a couple of years ago, I think related to Paramount. And there hasn't been any talk of it in quite some time, but it was like a cool shot of what looked like that Gary Frank panel splash page of the Jeep in the desert with the lizard type of thing, if I recall correctly. But in all the Redcoat movie announcements and exciting things, we have not seen anything mentioned about that. So whether it's connected to that in particular, I don't know. I would think that it's going to have, allusions to the rest of the world of the unnamed and not just be 100% Redcoat. But I would think that the first Redcoat joint would be like 95% Redcoat so that people don't get confused. It's a little bit different than comic book medium where you can pepper stuff in, but I have no idea. That's why we're going to talk to Jeff and Brian about it. So we will ask these questions on your behalf as well as many others. So make sure to tune in next week for our interview with Jeff Johns and Brian Hitch. And if you would like to send us a fantastic mail, you can do so by emailing ghostmachinefans@gmail.com. And if you'd like to check out all of our other content, you can do that by visiting www.ghostmachinefans.com, where all of our social platform thingies are, as well as access to our wiki. And you can find the links to the Ghost Machine Fans Discord on our Instagram profile or on the announcements on Reddit.
And thanks so much for joining us tonight on the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast.
Flava Podcast.